Welcome back. Recently I uploaded my video of 7 hidden new metal gems and had some interesting comments, and people seemed quite receptive to that. And in that video I did say at the end that I was planning on doing a similar thing, just with more recent new metal bands. So here we are. Now, when I say more recent, I mean, not from the early 2000s. This is stuff from the late teens to current day, in the early to mid 20s. Some of these bands aren't active anymore. Well, one of these is definitely not active anymore, and I won't be going into a huge amount of detail with these bands. I'm just going to give you a few examples of some of their music videos and what they sound like. So once again, you can just take away one album from each of these bands. I will be listing one after I share some of their music videos. The difference between the early 2000s and now is the whole music world is completely different, right? The reason why nu metal kind of killed itself is because there was so much abundance of record labels signing bands that fit into this kind of current category of this thing that's hot right now. We can thank Korn, Limp Bizkit, Slipknot, Deftones, etc. for. And now the world that we live in is where you don't need a record label, you don't even need a proper recording studio. You can do all this at home, basically. So we have an equal overabundance, but for completely different reasons. But long story short, these are bands that I think are really good. If you like nu metal, or metalcore for that matter, or just heavy music in general, I think these bands will be for you. They're quite varied. They're mostly pretty heavy. But yeah, enough rambling. Let's get into the list. So the first band on this list is a band called BajoxTierra, stylized with an X between the two words. I'll put it here on screen. And if you're wondering, that means underground, and they're from Chile. I believe they only have one album, self-titled, and as soon as it starts, I'm immediately reminded of Meshuggah and Willhaven. So I'm like, immediately, yes please, more of this, with like super thick 8-string guitars. Very, very much my kind of thing. They go from super heavy, like mosh pit bangers to really soaring melodic parts and like atmospheric bits, like all within the same song. The album is short, it's about half an hour or less, so it's very to the point, it doesn't overstay its welcome. And the production for a band that no one's heard of is super crisp, like super professional, considering I'd say actually this is probably the most obscure band on this list, and considering they sound amazing. They also have a nice use of odd time signatures, which is not very common these days. One thing I like about the vocalist is that he knows when to shut up and to let the music speak for itself. I think they're really good. Like I said, the album, I'll put the artwork here. The album is called BajoxTierra by BajoxTierra. And I think this artwork is killer. I think this is really cool. That's actually, before I go on to the next band, that was what attracted me to this band, was this artwork for this album cover. I thought it was really cool. I'm like, I need to check out this band. And I'm very thankful that I did. The next one is a band called Darke Complex. Sadly, this is a band that broke up. They're not around anymore. I really wish they were, or wish they'd reform, because they have a very short discography. I believe it's like 1 album and 1 EP and maybe some singles, and that's basically it. And everything that they put out was super strong.
Draw on the face and change your eyes. Now you're one of us.
I can only assume that they just had interpersonal stuff, because there's no way that this band wouldn't get noticed.
No!
Really interesting sound and really catchy and infectious, but heavy at the same time. But yeah, so sad the band broke up, taken too soon, I guess. R.I.P. And they're somewhere between metalcore and new metal. They sort of start off more metalcore and then end up more new metal, which is an interesting progression and really tasteful production. They also later incorporate electronic elements, which works for me, as you will probably know about me. Really cool videos, and it's interesting, the bassist is the one that does the rapping. The toughest thing for me to grasp is reality. Actuality is that I can't erase your duality. Which is not something I've ever seen before. Unusual setup. There's not much more I can say. They always give me goosebumps whenever I listen to them. As I was doing a bit of research for this video, because I haven't listened to them in a while, I checked out a couple of their music videos, which I will have put here for you, and I was getting chills watching these games. I'm like, wow, yeah, this is really good, and I forgot just how good it is. So the album that I'd recommend is, as I say, the only one that they did, sadly, called Point Oblivion. It's like early Linkin Park, just heavier, is the simplest way I can put it. It's so good. Do yourself a favor and go check this album out. The next band is a band called Darknet.
So you know it in your head, planning your vision to see what we're in intentional. Rolling up the sin in the dark and wait for taking the hardest.
And this, I feel like I'm going to have the least amount to say, because they have the least amount of information out there on the internet. They're from the UK, that much we do know. They're incredibly nihilistic. The lyrics are all, for the most part, talking about the harms that the internet can have on people. I guess hence the name Darknet. And in that sense, I can totally get behind their music, because, you know, social media and the internet and stuff, man, we're seeing the signs of what it's doing to people. It's not good. And their music really reflects this. And it's heavy as hell. It's so... Like, this band doesn't really have any chill. I don't remember ever hearing one of their songs and being in like a mood to listen to heavy music and going, okay, I'm going to skip this one because it's not really doing it for me. They don't really do that. Yeah, like I said, they're pretty anonymous. I could not find any photos of them online. I can only assume that's intentional and quite rare these days. You know, everyone on the internet wants to be seen. Look at my stupid face, right? A relatively short discography. The album that I would really recommend is one called Trash World. And once again, like, all of these bands have really good production. That is one difference between these bands and, you know, bands that were trying to emerge in the early 2000s. If you didn't have good production, you weren't going to make it. And even if you did have good production, you probably were going to struggle. But these days, like, anyone can have great production. So a band has to be more impressive technically and musically and, like, making good music essentially, because the standards of production are higher but easier to meet. Darknet, Trash World, really good. The next band is a band called Death Blooms. Another UK band, and this I think is probably the most metalcore band on this list, but I did want to include them. Definitely have an old or like mid-career Bring Me the Horizon influence for sure. An unfortunate choice of band name because Mudvayne. The reason I was attracted to this band is because of the name. I'm like, Death Blooms. I know that song. Oh wait, that's a band. Okay, maybe they have influence from Mudvayne. Not really. At least not the Mudvayne that I enjoy. So a bit of a blessing and a curse at the same time, this name, I think. Like I said, definitely the most metalcore rather than new metal, but I feel like they really don't have much attention on them right now, and maybe go and give them some love. Their album that I want to recommend is called Life is Pain, which is a great album name. Come on.
Life is pain!
Okay, this one is quite a big one for me. This is a band called Tallah. I think this is probably the least obscure one, because at least a few years ago they were getting quite a lot of coverage because they just released their second album, which I can't remember the name of right now, but the previous album, Matrophagy, is insane.
I'm in need of her system. I'm marginally obsessed with the way I present myself.
All of their music is insane. Like this band is like the perfect new metal revival band, I think. Unfortunately, there is some controversy surrounding the now ex-keyboardist, but I'm not going to go into this. You can look that up yourself. In terms of song structure, they're the most early Slipknot-like. Like they have that spirit of Slipknot's first album. So that's good, obviously, and it's as good as you are imagining it. The vocalist is an absolute monster. He's got his own YouTube channel where he does vocal covers of songs, and he nails them every time.
Go away, go! Try to take the best of me! Go away, go! I wanna be in the energy, not with the enemy, I face on my head.
I actually said in the past when, before Emily Armstrong came into Linkin Park, before that happened, I said that this vocalist would be a good replacement for Chester in the sense that he sounds very, very similar and he can impersonate Chester really well. Would that make him a good replacement? No, of course not. It would be very distasteful, I think. In terms of getting someone to perform as Chester, this guy would be perfect. He's amazing. And I think I'm right in saying that this is the only band with a female member. And I gotta say, there's something about a pretty lady playing a 7-string guitar that just does things to me. Bottom line, from my perspective, this was, of all of these, I think the most exciting band for me to discover. Because I'm like, where has this band been this whole time? And why have I been living under a rock or something? And yeah, they have 2 albums. One of which, like I said, I can't remember the name of right now, and I'm not going to bother looking it up. But the one for you to check out is Matrophagy, which is a pretty brutal name. Okay, the penultimate one on this list is a band called Dead.
Standing in line is the way that you go. I will survive on the you won't take me alive. I'd rather die than live in it. And try everything.
And I think I'd be right in saying that this is the band that I've listened to the most.
So fuck me and fuck you too. The world should start over now. Are nihilist. Some take it on the rest. Some live life and hope they'll get to the gates.
Their album Misanthrope, I cannot tell you how many times I've listened to that thing. It was like a year and a half maybe that I just listened to it all the time. Misanthrope was super nihilistic and brutal and just so angry.
You know it's a truth.
And then the second album was still heavy, but kind of had the edges smoothed off a little bit.
Oh man, I can't hide. You don't love what I love. You don't know my hate. Fill me up with bitterness. You just want a pretty face to sing you a song. So vain, so criminal. Do you really want?
But it's still good. I think they're going to release a new album this year, which I'll be very excited to see what that's like. They had this thing, they used to have this look where they would all have like these complete whiteout contact lenses, which was a really iconic look. That was their look. And then with the next album, they got rid of that for some reason, and it kind of took a bit of the magic away. I know it shouldn't affect a band or like the sound of a band, but you know, when a band has an image and then they get rid of that image, it does feel like something's lost. It's kind of like when Mudvayne took the face paint off, you know? I was just like, I was out at that point. Not because of the face paint, but because the music was terrible. And yeah, so I think they're working on a new album this year, and at time of recording, 22nd of March 2025, they just released a new music video for a song with Chris Motionless, which I will put here. But yeah, so the album Misanthrope, so good. Both their albums are really good, but I would strongly recommend Misanthrope, and then if you really like that, then go on to the other one. And so the final one on this list is a band called Fire from the Gods.
Look what I found, come get out. It's that revolution's out. Call it the second emancipation, break these chains and let me out. Readily, steadily waiting for a chance to reset. The devil is a liar, topple the empire. I will not be conquered.
This one's also kind of metalcore, but it definitely has new metal elements, like undeniably. Of all these bands, this maybe Darknet as well covers sort of socio-economic topics, but Fire from the Gods, like that's kind of their whole thing. A little bit political, but not overbearingly so. You can easily ignore those themes and still enjoy the music. It's probably the least angry band on this list, for better or for worse. You know, I don't want to be screamed at all the time.
How can I relate to a world that I feel is broken? Look into their eyes, listen to their cries.
And the vocalist has an incredible voice.
I could have stayed down, like a lady, don't take hold of me. No surprise that I'm alive and I'm still fighting, I'm surviving. I've been underrated, underestimated, I've lived with myself, hatred been through the fire, been through the wire.
Definitely the like prettiest and traditionally talented vocalist. He does do screams, but it's not all he does. He's just got this really deep, soulful, like his voice, like it gives me chills every time, dude. I'm serious.
Where did we go? How could we stray so far? A million miles away. It seems that I don't belong in life. Begin drifting, defy the laws of the bridges of my past are collapsing. I feel new energy.
And the guy, the vocalist himself, has a really like multicultural background. Like he's lived, I want to say like South Africa and then New Zealand and then the UK or something. Like he's moved around a lot. So his accent, both when he's speaking and singing, is kind of all over the place. So he doesn't sound American. He doesn't sound English. He doesn't sound Australian. He's kind of got an accent from different words sound like they're from different places. It's really interesting to listen to. I've never really heard a vocalist sound like that before. And the band has super soaring choruses. They became a little bit more poppy with the most recent album, to me anyway. Maybe they've released stuff since then, I don't know. I think they have the most varied sound overall over like 2 albums, I want to say. It's the band of these that incorporates the most amount of hip hop style, I would say. None of these bands really incorporate that much hip hop into them. Darke Complex has a little bit. Fire from the Gods, I'd say, is like the most multicultural band, if that even makes sense. Like there's little bits of the world all in this band. It's really, really, really good, man. And the album that I'd recommend is Narrative. That's from like 10 years ago now or something. And they released another one which was a lot more clean and poppy. Not poppy, that's the wrong word, but definitely aiming at radio play. Much more commercial. But Narrative, if you like Narrative, then same with Dead and Misanthrope. If you like the first one, you'll probably like the second one. They're both a little more smooth version of the previous one. So there you go. As promised, my 7 relatively obscure new metal-ish modern bands. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Again, let me know if you discover any of these bands through this video. I'll be very interested to find that out, because I think it's important to share music with people, and for when people receive that music to acknowledge the person's efforts. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you're new here, thank you very much for clicking on this video. If you're already subscribed, then thank you very much for being here. I still have not thought of how to end videos yet, so I'm just going to say, go away.